Alright, there we go. Okay, let's have a look at the news cards revealed yesterday for the Unholy fraction, or the ones where you need Unholy runes. The ones where we have one or two Unholy runes, you can also play in mixed decks with some of the other rune cards that we've seen so far. Um, and starting out with this, we have the cards that have only one Unholy rune. That means they're most easily mixed both with Frost as well as Blood runes. We have a 4 mana 1/3 taunt, Battlecry, summon 2 copies of this minion. This is the exact copy of, like, unless there are hand buffs, which I don't believe there are any currently. This card is basically the warrior card that gives you for 4 mana 3 1/3s with taunt that then get buffed if you have less than 20 HP in warrior. So that is kind of the same card. Uh, this card doesn't look super good in terms of power level. I know it's 1/9 worth of taunt stats, but I think the breakpoints here, especially 3 is not a good breakpoint. It gets farmed quite easily. So I think even though this soften ups your opponent board, this card probably doesn't see any play. But of course we'll have to wait up for the rest of the set. But yeah, this card might not quite be it. Next up, we have the World Championship card. So Possessi was our last World Champion. So we have a card named after Possessi, and this card is the Possessifier. Beating the best, being the best, and brainwashing the rest. It's a 5 mana 3/3 Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 fighters with Rush and Reborn. Rush Reborn means basically this card will give you 5 corpses. So 5 corpses for your Death Battle, Death Knight, Corpse Resurrection synergy. And I think the card itself is like, it's 5 mana 3/3, deal 4, but you can choose how you deal the 4 while you gain 4 corpses, and you can play it proactively. A really hard card to remove, and with the Russian Reborn, that means that the opponent can ignore this one once, but if they are being ignored, they basically present like 4 power on board. So this card is really quite powerful, I think, and should probably be an include in most of the Unholy decks, just because it's a strong card by itself and also lets you ramp up your like corpse counter quite significantly. So this looks like a good card. It's nice to see a World Championship card being this good. Next up, we have Dark Transformation. Transform an undead into a 4/5 undead monstrosity with Rush. So you could basically use this on your hero power, for example. You could hero power and play this, and then you have a 4 mana 4/5 with a Rush. Or you could use it on any of your tokens. The funny thing is, I think this card probably will not be good. Even though I think the stats are like quite fine, but I don't think it will be good. I don't think it fits in current Hearthstone. 4/5 is really nice though. The 4 attack breakpoint is really good on a lot of minions that are in current Hearthstone. There's a lot of 4 health minions that are quite nicely value traded into by this. But this will at least cost you 3 mana to make a 4/5 with Rush. And I don't think that's kind of where we're at right now in terms of Hearthstone. So I don't think this card will be good enough. Next time, we have a 2 mana 2/2 Battlecry, spend a corpse to gain +1/+2. So you could basically get a 2 mana 3/4. If you have a corpse to spend, which might be quite difficult on turn 2, and later in the game it might be harder to accomplish. It gets value traded quite nicely. If this card is something that you actually do play and it's decent, like you could coin hero power into this. But is a 3/4 and 2 really something good enough in current Hearthstone? I feel like it's kind of not. I feel like it doesn't really do enough. But it's a very, very easy way to spend your corpses. We'll see a little bit more what other payoff cards we have, and then we see. But whenever you play this as a 2/2, it's pretty bad. Next up, Unholy Frenzy. Choose an enemy minion, your minions attack it, resummon any that die. Especially good with like Reborn token, and especially this is really good with the Reborn minions. I could see this card. I think this card will probably be a one-off in a lot of decks because like it requires your opponent to play around it a little bit, as the payoff can be huge. But yeah, as a two-off, I think you're kind of in for diminishing returns, especially having this card twice in hand early in the game. Infinite Corpses. Yeah, I mean, this card can be really good, can give you a lot of corpses. I think this has like a lot of potential, especially with Reborn tokens. Reborn tokens always used to be that way that your opponent didn't really want to trade them. And there might be a kind of dynamic where your opponent doesn't want to trade your cards because if they trade your cards, they give you corpses that you can spend. So they just go face while you trade. Um, And then this is kind of like the punish card. This is the card you play, so your opponent can't just go face. So they actually have to contest your board. And then you punish them, you get like corpses, you get new cards. I think this card will probably be playable just because of how it interacts with how your opponent wants to play the game. Any idea how many corpses? I would guess like 2 or 3, and then it's good enough. Like, right? This will, if this goes on 2 minions, it's already good enough. On 3, it's amazing, even if they're 1/1s. Meat Grinder, 3 mana 3/4. Battlecry, shred a random minion in your deck to gain 3 corpses. I don't think 3 mana 3/4s that don't do anything are like they don't. I think this card, when it doesn't have an immediate impact, is not something I want to play in my deck. 3 mana 3/3. Battlecry, infect all enemy minions with all enemies. Okay, I mean they are set that they're going to change this card slightly, and it's going to be reading Battlecry. Affect all enemy minions. When they die, summon a 2/2 zombie with taunt. So basically, for every one of your opponent's minions, whenever like you infect all of them, and whenever they die, you gain a 2/2 zombie with taunt. That's kind of funny because this is like an undead card, but it's an undead card that's really good against undead cards. Oh, Unholy. I keep on saying undead, but I mean like Unholy. Like Unholy plays a lot of tokens, and then you play this against it. This is like, this doesn't really fit. If your opponent doesn't play minions, this card doesn't do anything. Sadly, it's all enemy minions and all enemies. I mean, it is basically all. It is all enemies. It's even the hero, but it doesn't matter, right? Because when you kill the opponent's hero, the game ends. But yeah, they're just changing the wording on this card. I can see this card seeing play. Why not? After all, why shouldn't I play it? It's a legendary. That's cheap to include. Also, it has like one Unholy rune, so it can be quite easily included in other decks. And the minion with taunt is quite nice. 3/3 stat line is alright-ish. If this hits on only one minion, you're probably fine already in terms of value gained. If a hero is played by opponent, you should also summon it to 2. Well, I mean, when you play a hero, you don't kill the previous hero, you just override it. Next up, 2 mana 2/3 Battlecry. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, discover an Unholy rune card. So basically, on your opponent's turn or your turn, any undead dies, which is basically all the minions and all the tokens. They're all undead. You discover an Unholy rune card. This will be difficult to play on curve, but Um, I mean, if you just discover a card, this kind of looks powerful. Discovering card seems powerful, so I think this is a good card. 3 mana, 3/3 taunt. Death Rattle, spend 3 corpses to summon a 3/3 Risen Emirjar with taunt. Well, I mean, it has taunt, which I guess is nice, but every time I play pandas, I am surprised at how bad the pandas are. Yes, this card has taunt, but the pandas also always just get cleared. And you have to spend corpses. And if you don't have the corpses, this is just a 3 mana 3/3. And the Risen Imjar doesn't leave a corpse. Because it's a Risen minion. Risen minions don't leave corpses. I think this card's a no-no. Alright, next up. 4 mana. Summon 2/2 zombies with taunt. Spend 4 corpses to give them reborn. And if they have reborn, they leave 4 corpses again. So you basically have 4. You have 2/2/2s with taunt and then 2/2/1s with taunt. And you get your corpses back that you invested. Seems super duper strong, honestly. Seems super strong. I like it. I think this card looks really good. Michael Jackson card, an absolute thriller, and then they made this card look like Michael Jackson. Alrighty. 10 mana, 8/8, costs 1 less each for each corpse you spend this game. Okay, so for every corpse you spend, this is like the huge payoff card that Unholy has. And this is huge, right? Just even if you get this, like, play a 2 mana giant on turn 5, this is a huge pile of stats. It's something that needs to be answered. So this looks really strong to me. Cost 1. Yeah, this card's obviously super strong. This is like your huge Unholy, like, payoff card, and it looks super strong. Absolutely nice card. We'll definitely see play. Alright, now we're getting to the ones where you have to run a pure Unholy deck to be able to play this, so the cost is quite higher. So you have to exclude like any frost and any blood cards that are like high in power level but only cost 1 rune and would kind of fit your deck. So this will be expensive. Okay, gain 4 corpses. Shuffle 4 crates into your deck that summon a 2/2 undead when drawn. Gain 4 corpses? That is crazy. So that basically activates every single card I ever wanted to play. Like, if I play this on 1, all my Unholy cards are active. So I might have to reevaluate some of the stuff where I'm like, I'm not sure if this works. Like, this not only gives you corpses to be able to fill out the rest of this, but it also, like, just getting 2/2s undeads that give you more corpses when you draw them, that is pretty insane. I think this card is bonkers, right? Am I seeing this wrong? This just sets up so well for everything else you want to do in the rest of the game. And this is a little bit like the acorn. Like, it doesn't come with a body, but it comes with the 4 corpses immediately that just help you make everything else on your curve. Like, you never feel like you play a bad card because all the cards are activated. I think this card sounds very strong. Next up, 4 mana. Give your minions +1 attack. Spend 5 corpses to give them 3 instead. Like, initially I thought this card was bad. I mean, it's a nice finisher, right? Because you probably need this in your deck at least once, just so that you can bloodlust or you can bloodlust your minions for cheaper, and then sometimes +1 attack's just fine. Yeah, if the archetype works, this card works. If the archetype doesn't work, this card doesn't work. But it's expensive, and it's like four Unholy runes, right? You definitely you're super deep into that archetype. And then you have the Scourge, 9 mana till you board with random undead. That's a nice rogue card. That's a really nice rogue card. The most this card will see play. It's nice with Reborn. I mean, like this card looks interesting, but I feel like 9 mana's a lot in current Hearthstone, so it's probably not it. What's the clip of this card? Alright, let me see. Crip. I mean, it makes a pretty big board. It makes a pretty big board, especially like with Reborn minions and stuff like this. There's also a bunch of minions on this board that I've never seen before. So, I don't know, 9 mana's a lot though, guys. 9 mana really is a lot. Like, it might be fine. Like, if the games are grindy enough. Like, if Unholy has like problems finishing games, you just play this on 9, then your opponent clears the board, usually clears their own board as well, and then you just play Denathrius afterwards. Because the board is clear and you have so much to leverage, that it's like it kind of serves a dual purpose. It like contests the board to the point where it has to get cleared, and most of the people clear their own board in the process as well, and then you set up a really big sire that you just super juiced.